6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundi Thavam. The President stresses commitment of the youth is essential to win the economic struggle. The President and SJB discuss an all-party government program. The Energy Minister points out several reasons for the loss-making of the CPC. Malaysia monitors Sri Lankans arriving on visit visas. The practical examination of the GC Advanced Level 2021 will be conducted this month. In foreign news, Palestinian militant killed in Gaza as Israel strikes after threats. And in sports, Sri Lanka won another bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that he is ready to work transparently with the protesters and the youth when he met with a group of goal-faced protesters yesterday. Mr. Wickremesinghe pointed out with facts that the need is now to win the economic struggle and said that he expects all the young men and women in the struggle to contribute in every way to the victory of that economic struggle. A special discussion was held yesterday at the President's office between several factions of the goal-faced protesters and President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The President emphasized that he is against undemocratic politics and violence and that those who are working for only suppression should stop the ragging and come forward for a good social democracy through the university process itself. The President said that it is not possible to move a country forward by strikes and that the task to be done for the country should be fulfilled as well as reaching mediations through negotiations and winning demands. The President asked the protesters to form a main group representing all the strugglers and mentioned that representation of all religions and women is also essential for that group. President Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussions with the main opposition party, Samagi Jana Balawegaya, on forming an all-party government. Formally inviting the SJB to join an all-party government, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that if they do not agree to name the proposed government as an all-party government, then he will propose that it be named as an all-party governance. The President said that they have invited all parties to join an all-party government. They are negotiating with political parties for that, he added. The leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, said that they would like to suggest that the 19th Amendment of the Constitution be carried forward as it is. The opposition leader said the SJB came to the discussion with a positive mindset. At this time, as a country, we have to join this discussion. We wish to see how best we could all work together through Parliament, he said. Taking to Twitter after the meeting, the SJB leader said he held far-reaching discussions with the President together with his team. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara pointed out several reasons for the incurring losses of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. He pointed out that selling products at subsidized rates for years, the rupee depreciation, dues from Sri Lankan Airlines and the Ceylon Electricity Board are several of the main reasons. The minister also said that the high premiums, demurrages and the bank interest due to financial situations are one of the main reasons. The CPC is overstaffed, inefficient and overpaid. The minister in his Twitter message says 25% salary increment on a collective agreement since 2012. He also said not operating the refinery and depending more on imported refined products and high distribution costs are also behind the loss-making of the CPC. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force says an increasing number of Sri Lankans are arriving in Malaysia on visit visas with the belief that these visas could be converted to working visas. It said the Malaysian immigration authorities are taking stringent measures to scrutinize visit visa holders. According to the task force, approximately 20 Sri Lankans per week who have been denied entry by the local authorities are reportedly being deported directly from the airport back to Sri Lanka. The National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force of Sri Lanka advised the Sri Lankan citizens that visit visas to Malaysia cannot be converted into work visa upon arrival. The task force requested the general public to verify such opportunities received by them with the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment prior to proceeding. The Commissioner General of Examinations has decided to conduct the practical examination of the GC Advanced Level 2021 for the candidates who have sat for the written examination. They should submit the request before Wednesday. It has been planned to conduct the practical examination this month itself. Candidates can make requests by sending the index number, subject and the telephone number to WhatsApp number 0718 156 717. Repeating 0718 156 717, or sending an email to slexamseo@gmail.com. That's slexamseo@gmail.com. And with that, we conclude local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Ministry of Education says all government and government-approved private schools will continue to function during regular hours for 3 days per week from August 8th to the 12th. As this month's Full Moon Poy Day falls on Thursday, the Education Ministry has decided that schools deliver classroom lessons on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Home-based learning activities or online teaching will be provided on Thursday and Friday. In schools where students and teachers are not severely affected by transport facilities, classroom lessons can be delivered on Friday as well at the discretion of the school principal, teachers and zonal director of education. In view of the prevailing situation, a flexible timetable can be followed so that every teacher is able to come to school for at least 3 days to deliver classroom lessons, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
The Organisation of Professionals will host the 35th Annual Conference and the 3rd National Awards of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka on August 16th, 2022. It will be held at the Cinnamon Lakeside Hotel, Colombo, under the theme Expanding Horizons for Effective Economic Growth and Good Governance. Technical sessions will be held on August 17th and came to you in Watchlight.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
On to a bulletin of world news making headlines this morning. Palestinian militant killed in Gaza as Israel strikes after threats. Pentagon denies plea to help with migrant buses to Washington. India's most wanted acted in 28 films and hid for 30 years. At least 10 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip, including a top commander of a Palestinian militant group. Local health officials said a young girl was among the dead, with dozens of others wounded. Israel's Prime Minister said the operation followed an immediate threat by a Palestinian Islamic Jihad after the arrest of one of its members early this week. The PIJ fired more than 100 rockets into Israel in an initial response. Most were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome missile defense shield. Sirens were heard in a number of Israeli cities. The Pentagon has rejected a request from Washington, D.C.'s mayor for help in dealing with thousands of undocumented migrants who have been transported to the city from border states. Arizona and Texas say the buses are being routed to the U.S. Capitol and New York City to spread out the burden of unprecedented migration. The New York officials accused them of using human beings as political pawns. Migration across the U.S.-Mexico border has surged to record levels. Om Prakash, also known as Pasha, figured on the list of most wanted criminals of police in the northern Indian state of Haryana. For 30 years, the former Indian Army employee, wanted in connection with an alleged robbery and murder, hid in plain sight in the neighbouring state of Uttar Pradesh. There, he acquired a brand new life with official documents, married a local woman and raised 3 children with her. But earlier this week, his luck finally ran out when the police arrested the frail 65-year-old from his home in a slum in Ghaziabad city. Back to the headlines of the world news. Palestinian militant killed in Gaza as Israel strikes after threats. Pentagon denies plea to help with migrant buses to Washington. And India's most wanted acted in 28 films and hid for 30 years. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and on to development news. The Colombo Port City said that out of the 34 marketable land plots granted on a 99-year lease basis, 6 plots were released back to the Commission, and the Colombo Port City Economic Commission has granted 6 fresh leases for a 99-year period to the investors, valued at around $200 million. The investors have projected a collective investment commitment of $600 million and came to you in development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Nethmi Porothotage took the first medal on offer on the wrestling mat yesterday as the youngster grabbed bronze in the women's freestyle 57-kilogram event. Porothotage also now holds the distinction of being the youngest Sri Lankan to medal in Games history. The youngster was up against a seasoned campaigner in Irene Siamindidis of Australia, who was runner-up in the Oceania region in 2019. The scores read 10-0 to Porothotage as she won in 1 minute and 51 seconds. The official decision victory by technical superiority without any points scored by the opponent. That's sports news. We look at business news next.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
U.S. employers added more than 500,000 jobs in July, and the unemployment rate dropped, defying fears that the labour market is heading for a slowdown. The jobless rate fell to 3.5% from 3.6% in June as restaurants, bars and others firms continued to add workers. The report from the Labour Department was far stronger than expected after recent data showed the U.S. economy continuing to shrink. The U.S. Central Bank is raising interest rates to rein in surging prices. That's business news. Economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
On to economic news. Energy giant Shell is to give its workers a one-off 8% bonus after the company reported record profits from high oil and gas prices. Most of the 82,000 staff it employs worldwide will get the pay boost, but top executives will be excluded. Shell said the award reflected its financial success and was not a response to the rising cost of living. Energy firms' bumper profits have prompted calls for tougher taxes to help families with rising bills. That's economic news, and on to the weather report. The active southwest monsoon conditions are expected to continue further. Hence, strong winds gusting up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour and very rough seas can be expected in the sea areas off the coast extending from Mannar to Pottuvil via Puttalam, Kalambu, Galle and Hambantota. The wind speed can increase up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour in the sea areas off the coast extending from Mannar to Batticaloa via Kankesanture and Trincomalee. These sea areas will be rough at times. There is a possibility of the increase of swell waves about 2.5 to 3.5 meters in the sea areas off the coast extending from Mannar to Pottuvil via Puttalam, Kalambu, Galle and Hambantota. Therefore, it is advised not to venture for fishing and naval activities in the sea areas off the coast extending from Mannar to Pottuvil via Puttalam, Kalambu, Galle and Hambantota until 10 a.m. this morning. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President stresses the commitment of the youth is essential to win the economic struggle. The President and the SJB discuss an all-party government program. The Energy Minister points out several reasons for the loss-making of the CPC. Malaysia monitors Sri Lankans arriving on visit visas. The practical examination of the GC Advanced Level 2021 will be conducted this month. Palestinian militant killed in Gaza as Israel strikes after threats. And Sri Lanka won another bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.